Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the EDS Vengeance, watching the stars through the thick armored glass. He had been in space for 20 years, but today felt different. Today, Earth was no longer alone. The communication panel beeped with an incoming message. Jake walked over and pressed the button. A strange voice filled the bridge, speaking in broken English. "Humans of the third planet, you will surrender now. Your world belongs to the Zephyrian Empire. Prepare for occupation." Jake looked at his crew. Nobody spoke for a moment. Lieutenant Amy Peterson, his weapons officer, raised an eyebrow. "Sir, should I respond?" "Not yet," Jake said. He turned to his science officer. "Dr. Nathan Brooks, what do our sensors show?" Nathan checked his screens. 12 large ships, Captain. They're about the size of our heavy cruisers, but different design. Very different. They use energy shields and plasma weapons, just like the other alien races we've been watching." Admiral Lisa Carter's voice came through the comm system from Earth Command. "All ships, this is Admiral Carter. We've been preparing for this day for 50 years. Every ship captain knows the plan. Wait for my signal." Jake nodded to his crew. The Vengeance was one of 40 human warships hidden throughout the solar system. For decades, humans had watched alien civilizations fight each other with bright energy weapons and colorful shields. The aliens always seemed to think louder and brighter meant better. Humans had learned differently. "Captain," Amy said, "the alien fleet is moving toward Mars. They're not even trying to hide." "Of course they're not," Jake replied. "They think we're primitives. Look at their ships, Amy. All smooth curves and glowing lights. Beautiful, but stupid." The Vengeance was not beautiful. It looked like a flying brick covered in gun barrels. Every surface was thick armor. Every weapon was designed to throw heavy metal very, very fast. While aliens had spent thousands of years making their ships prettier, humans had spent their time making their ships deadlier. Dr. Nathan Brooks had spent his whole career studying alien technology. "Captain, I've been watching their communications. They're laughing at us. Their computers can't understand our ship designs. They think our weapons are primitive because we don't use energy beams." "Good," Jake said. "Let them think that." The alien commander's voice came through the speakers again. "Humans, you have 1 hour to surrender. We are the Zephyrian Empire. We have conquered 1,000 worlds. Your primitive ships cannot harm us." Jake picked up the microphone. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the Earth Defense Force. You have 30 minutes to leave our solar system." The response was immediate. Alien laughter filled the communication channel. Jake could hear them talking to each other in their own language, and the computer translated their words. "Did the primitive just threaten us? Their ship looks like it was built by children." "This will be easier than we thought." Jake smiled. "Dr. Brooks, send our full ship specifications to their computers." "Sir?" Nathan looked confused. "Do it. Let them see exactly what we are." Nathan typed on his console. "Sent, sir." A few minutes later, the alien laughter stopped. Jake could hear them talking quickly to each other. "These weapons, they throw metal. At what speed? This cannot be right. Check the calculations again." "Sir," Amy said, "they're scanning us with everything they have." "Let them look," Jake replied. "Dr. Brooks, what are they finding?" Nathan studied his screens. "They're confused, Captain. Their scans show that our armor is solid metal, not energy shields. Our weapons are magnetic accelerators, not plasma cannons. They don't understand how we fight." "That's because they've never fought anyone like us," Jake said. "Every species in the galaxy fights the same way. Energy weapons, energy shields, energy everything. They all learned from each other. But we learned from ourselves," Amy added. "We learned from thousands of years of human war." Jake nodded. "Exactly. While they were making their weapons prettier, we were making ours deadlier. While they were making their ships faster, we were making ours tougher. While they were learning to fight aliens, we were learning to fight humans." The alien commander spoke again, but his voice sounded less confident. "Human ship, your weapons are unusual, but we have shields that can stop any energy weapon. You cannot harm us." Jake looked at Amy. "Lieutenant, target their flagship." "Targeting, sir. Kinetic cannon loaded and ready. Fire 1 round. Show them what human weapons do to energy shields." Amy pressed the firing button. The Vengeance shuddered slightly as the magnetic cannon launched a solid metal projectile at 15% of light speed. The round was the size of a small car and weighed 10 tons. On the main screen, they watched the projectile race toward the alien flagship. The alien ship's energy shields glowed brightly as they tried to stop the incoming round. The projectile passed through the shields like they weren't there. It hit the alien ship in the center and punched completely through it. The ship broke in half and exploded. Silence filled the communication channel. Jake picked up the microphone again. "Attention, Zephyrian fleet. That was a warning shot. You now have 25 minutes to leave our solar system." The remaining alien ships began moving away from Mars very quickly. Dr. Brooks was studying his sensors. "Captain, I'm picking up communications from all over the galaxy. Word is spreading fast about what just happened." "What are they saying?" Jake asked. "They're scared, sir. Really scared. Nobody has ever seen a weapon that ignores energy shields before." Admiral Carter's voice came through the comm again. "All ships maintain positions. This is just the beginning. The galaxy's about to learn what humans are really capable of." Jake looked out at the stars again. Somewhere out there, alien civilizations were learning that their perfect energy-based weapons had a fatal weakness. Somewhere out there, they were realizing that the primitives from the third planet had been watching and learning and preparing. Somewhere out there, the galaxy was about to discover that humans were very, very good at war. The Vengeance hung silently in space, waiting for the next challenge. Jake Morrison smiled. After 50 years of preparation, humanity was finally ready to show the galaxy what they could do. The alien ships disappeared into hyperspace, carrying news that would change everything. Earth's children were coming to the stars and they were bringing their guns. The news spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. In the great crystal halls of the Galactic Council, representatives from 100 worlds watched the recording of the Zephyrian flagship being destroyed. They watched it again and again, trying to understand what they had seen. "Impossible," said Council Leader Vexithara, her blue skin turning pale. "Energy shields cannot fail like that. The humans must have some new type of energy weapon." But Dr. Sarah Mitchell, the human scientist now sitting in the council chambers, shook her head. "No energy weapon at all. Just a piece of metal moving very fast." The council chamber fell silent. Representatives from species that had fought wars for millions of years stared at the small human woman. She looked so ordinary, so harmless. But she represented something that terrified them all. "Metal?" asked General Torkash of the Void Collective. "You mean solid matter?" "That's right," Sarah said calmly. "We call them kinetic weapons. Kinetic means movement. We take something heavy and throw it very hard at our enemies." The council members looked at each other. For thousands of years, galactic warfare had followed the same pattern. Ships with energy shields fought using energy weapons. Bigger shields meant better defense. Stronger energy beams meant better offense. It was a perfect system. Except humans had never used that system at all. On the other side of the galaxy, Captain Jake Morrison was learning just how much their demonstration had changed things. His communication officer, Lieutenant Kevin Davis, was monitoring alien radio channels. "Captain, we're getting reports from all over," Kevin said. "The Zephyrian Empire has called an emergency meeting. The Void Collective is pulling back all their fleets. Even the peaceful trading species are asking questions." "What kind of questions?" Jake asked. "Mostly how many ships do the humans have and can we buy kinetic weapons from them?" Jake smiled. "And what's our answer?" Admiral Lisa Carter's voice came through the comm from Earth. "Our answer is simple, Captain. We have enough ships, and our weapons are not for sale." The truth was even more frightening than the aliens imagined. While they had been fighting each other with the same energy-based technology for millennia, humans had been building something completely different. In secret shipyards throughout the solar system, hundreds of human warships waited in the darkness. Dr. Nathan Brooks was in his laboratory, studying alien technology that the Zephyrian ships had left behind. "It's amazing, Captain," he said to Jake over the comm. "Their technology is beautiful, elegant, efficient, but it's all based on the same principles, which are," Jake asked, "energy manipulation. They learned to bend electricity, plasma, and exotic particles to their will. They became masters of energy. But they forgot about matter." Jake nodded. "While they were learning to make lightning, we were learning to throw rocks. Very big rocks moving very fast," Nathan added. "And apparently that makes all the difference." The difference was becoming clear across the galaxy. On the Zephyrian homeworld, Emperor Zaxthor was meeting with his military advisors. The great leader, who had conquered 50 star systems, was learning that his empire might not be as strong as he thought. "How many human ships are there?" he demanded. "We don't know, Emperor," replied Admiral Kexavar. "Our scans detected at least 40 large vessels, but there could be more hidden." 40 ships cannot threaten our empire. We have thousands. But Emperor, the admiral said quietly, one human ship destroyed our flagship instantly. Our shields, our armor, nothing stopped their weapon. The Emperor was quiet for a long moment. What do our scientists say? They say it's impossible, sir. A solid projectile cannot move that fast. The energy required would be enormous. But it happened. Yes, sir, it happened. Meanwhile, on Earth, President Emma Collins was holding an emergency meeting with her military leaders. The small conference room was packed with generals, admirals, and scientists. How long before they figure out how our weapons work? She asked. General Ryan Murphy answered first. Our engineers estimate it would take them at least 50 years to develop magnetic acceleration technology, ma'am. They've spent so long perfecting energy weapons that they've forgotten the basics of kinetic physics. And if they all work together, maybe 20 years if they're very lucky and very smart. President Collins nodded. And how long to build ships that can survive our weapons? Dr. Nathan Brooks, attending by video link, answered that question. Much longer, ma'am. Their entire industrial base is designed around energy manipulation. To build armor that can stop our projectiles, they'd have to start over from scratch. How long? Honestly, maybe 100 years. Their material science is focused on energy conduction and deflection. They don't know how to make really thick, really strong armor. The president smiled. So we have a window. A big window, General Murphy agreed. But ma'am, there's something else. We're getting communication requests from dozens of species. They all want to talk. About what? Trade agreements. Defense pacts. Some are even offering to surrender immediately. On the bridge of the Vengeance, Captain Jake Morrison was watching something he'd never expected to see. Alien ships were approaching the outer solar system, but they weren't coming to fight. They were coming to talk. Captain Lieutenant Amy Peterson said, I'm reading 12 different alien fleets, all different species. None of them have weapons powered up. How many ships total? Jake asked. Over 300, sir. Jake whistled softly. That's more ships than some wars. Sir, Lieutenant Kevin Davis called from communications. I'm getting surrender offers from 6 different species. They want to join the human empire. We don't have an empire, Jake said. I don't think they care, sir. Admiral Carter's voice came through the comm. All ships, this is Admiral Carter. We're about to find out what happens when you become the biggest fish in a very big pond. Stay alert, but hold your fire unless directly threatened. Jake looked out at the growing alien fleet. Each ship represented a different species, a different world, a different way of thinking. But they all had one thing in common now. They were all afraid of humans. Sir, Amy said quietly, I never thought it would be this easy. Easy, Jake replied. Amy, this is just the beginning. Now we have to figure out what to do with a galaxy full of scared aliens. The communication panel beeped with another incoming message. This time it was from the Galactic Council itself. This is Council Leader Vexathara to the human fleet. We request immediate peace negotiations. The galaxy wishes to discuss accommodation with human interests. Jake picked up the microphone. This is Captain Morrison. We'll talk, but we'll do it from a position of strength. Outside, 300 alien ships waited for humanity's answer. Inside, 50 human ships prepared to reshape the galaxy. The peace talks were unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Instead of meeting on a neutral space station, the aliens came to Earth. Instead of bringing their finest diplomats, they brought their military leaders. Instead of making demands, they came to listen. Admiral Lisa Carter stood in the main conference room of Earth Defense Headquarters, looking at the strangest gathering in human history. Representatives from 30 different species sat around a huge table, and every one of them looked nervous. Let me make our position clear, Admiral Carter began. Humanity wants peace. We want to explore the galaxy, trade with other species, and learn from each other. But we will not be threatened, conquered, or pushed around. Council Leader Vexathara, representing the Galactic Council, nodded quickly. Of course, Admiral Carter. The Council wishes only peaceful coexistence. Good, Carter replied. Then let's talk about how that works. But even as the diplomats talked, military minds throughout the galaxy were trying to solve the human problem. In the war rooms of a dozen species, generals and admirals studied the recordings of human weapons in action. General Torkash of the Void Collective was the first to understand the true scope of what they faced. His chief scientist, Dr. Vexelan, had spent weeks analyzing human ship designs. General, Dr. Vexelan said, I have bad news and worse news. Tell me. The bad news is that human kinetic weapons ignore all of our defensive technology. Energy shields, armor plating, defensive fields, none of it matters against solid projectiles moving at relativistic speeds. And the worst news? The humans didn't just build a few of these weapons. Their entire military doctrine is based on kinetic warfare. Every ship, every weapon, every defense system is designed around throwing heavy objects very fast. General Torkash stared at the holographic display showing a human battleship. How is that possible? Energy weapons are clearly superior. Not against kinetic attacks, sir. Energy weapons require energy shields for defense. But kinetic weapons require mass and armor for defense. The humans built their ships like flying fortresses. So their ships are slow and clumsy? No, sir. That's the terrifying part. They're fast enough, maneuverable enough, and completely immune to our weapons. Similar conversations were happening across the galaxy. The Zephyrian Empire's top military minds reached the same conclusion. The Crystal Confederacy's war planners came to the same realization. The Stellar Republic's admirals faced the same truth. Humanity had accidentally developed the perfect counter to galactic military technology. Captain Jake Morrison was learning this firsthand as he gave tours of the Vengeance to alien military observers. The current group included Admiral Kexvar of the Zephyrian Empire and General Yextar of the Crystal Confederacy. This is our main kinetic cannon, Jake explained, showing them the massive magnetic accelerator that ran through the center of the ship. It can launch a 10-ton projectile at 20% of light speed. Admiral Kexvar studied the weapon with obvious fear. How much energy does this require? About the same as one of your medium plasma cannons, Jake replied. But instead of shooting energy that can be deflected or absorbed, we're shooting solid matter that punches through anything. Anything? General Yextar asked. So far, yes. We've tested our weapons against captured alien armor samples. Kinetic rounds go through energy shields like they're not there, and they punch through the strongest armor plating we've encountered. The alien officers exchanged worried glances. They were beginning to understand why their species had never developed kinetic weapons. The energy requirements seemed inefficient compared to plasma beams. Admiral Kexvar explained. Why accelerate matter when you can accelerate energy? Because matter doesn't care about shields, Jake said simply. Energy can be blocked, deflected, or absorbed. But if you throw a rock hard enough, it will hit whatever you aim at. Dr. Nathan Brooks joined the tour group in the ship's laboratory. Gentlemen, let me show you something interesting. He activated a holographic display showing galactic military development over time. Every species in the galaxy followed the same technological path, he explained. You all discovered energy manipulation first, then built your military technology around it. Energy weapons, energy shields, energy-based defenses. This was logical. General Yextar protested. Energy weapons are more efficient. More efficient, yes. More effective, no. Nathan switched the display to show human military development. Humans took a different path. We started with kinetic weapons, rocks, spears, arrows, bullets. We've been perfecting kinetic warfare for thousands of years. But surely energy weapons are superior, Admiral Kexvar asked. Against other energy weapons, yes. Against kinetic weapons, no. You optimized your technology for fighting yourselves. We optimized our technology for fighting anything. The truth was even more complex than the aliens realized. Back on Earth, President Emma Collins was meeting with her top military advisors to discuss humanity's next moves. How many ships are we really talking about? She asked General Ryan Murphy. Currently operational? 250 major warships, ma'am. Under construction? Another 400? And they still don't know? No, ma'am. We've only shown them about 50 ships so far. They think that's our entire fleet. Dr. Sarah Mitchell, now serving as humanity's chief xenological advisor, raised a concern. Ma'am, some of the alien species are getting desperate. The Void Collective is reportedly trying to develop kinetic weapons of their own. How long will that take them? Our estimates suggest 50 to 70 years for a working prototype. Their entire industrial base would need to be rebuilt. And how long for us to build more ships? General Murphy smiled. We're launching 2 new battleships per month, ma'am. By the time they have their first kinetic weapon, we'll have over 1,000 ships. The president nodded. So our technological advantage is secure. More than secure, ma'am. It's insurmountable. But humanity's greatest advantage wasn't technological, it was psychological. Across the galaxy, species that had never agreed on anything were suddenly working together. united by a common fear. On the Zephyrian homeworld, Emperor Zaxthor was holding his first joint meeting with leaders of former enemy species. "We must work together," he told the assembled aliens. "The humans represent a threat to all of us." "Not a threat," corrected President Veltara of the Stellar Republic. "An inevitability. They have weapons we cannot counter and defenses we cannot penetrate." "So what do you suggest?" asked Queen Nexilla of the Crystal Confederacy. "Accommodation," President Veltara replied. "We give them what they want and hope they leave us alone." "And what do they want?" the Emperor asked. That was the question everyone was asking. On the bridge of the Vengeance, Captain Jake Morrison was wondering the same thing. "Sir," Lieutenant Amy Peterson said, "Admiral Carter is requesting a fleet conference." "All ship captains. Well, what's the topic?" Jake asked. "The future of human-alien relations, sir." Jake looked out at the stars where hundreds of alien ships waited for humanity's decision. Some were there to negotiate. Some were there to surrender. Some were probably there to spy. All of them were there because they had no choice. "Amy," Jake said quietly, "set course for Earth. It's time to decide what kind of galactic neighbors we want to be." The Vengeance turned toward home, followed by the watchful eyes of a galaxy learning to be afraid. Somewhere in the darkness between stars, human ships continued their patrols, unknown and unseen by the aliens they protected. The galaxy was changing, and humanity was just getting started. 6 months after first contact, the galaxy looked completely different. Wars that had raged for centuries suddenly stopped. Pirate fleets that had terrorized trade routes disappeared overnight. Species that had been enemies for millennia were now allies, united by their shared fear of human military power. Admiral Lisa Carter stood in the newly built Galactic Relations Center on Luna, Earth's moon. Through the massive windows, she could see alien ships coming and going constantly. What had started as a few diplomatic visits had become a permanent alien presence in the Sol system. "Admiral," said Colonel Tony Parker, her new liaison officer, "we have another situation developing." "What kind of situation?" Carter asked. "The Helix Nebula sector. 3 different species are asking for human protection from raiders. Apparently local pirates don't believe the stories about our weapons." Carter sighed. "How many ships are we talking about?" "The pirate fleet? About 30 vessels. The requesting species have over 100 ships combined, but they're too scared to fight." "Scared of 30 pirates?" "No, ma'am." "Scared of what happens if they win." "They're worried that fighting will make the humans angry." This was the new reality. Alien species with advanced fleets and powerful weapons were asking humans to solve their problems because they were afraid to fight their own battles. They had become so terrified of human military power that they wouldn't risk any action that might be seen as aggressive. Captain Jake Morrison was experiencing this firsthand as he led a small human task force to the Helix Nebula. His fleet consisted of just 3 ships: the Vengeance, the destroyer EDS Thunder, and the cruiser EDS Lightning. Against 30 pirate vessels, it should have been a hopeless fight. But Captain Morrison knew something the pirates didn't. "Sir," Lieutenant Amy Peterson reported from her weapons station, "we're approaching the Helix system. Sensors show the pirate fleet positioned near the 4th planet." "What about the local defense forces?" Jake asked. "Hiding behind the 2nd planet, sir. All 47 ships." Jake shook his head. 47 ships hiding from 30 pirates." "To be fair, sir," said Lieutenant Kevin Davis from Communications, "the pirates have been asking specifically for human ships to fight. They think the stories about our weapons are fake." "Then let's educate them," Jake replied. "Amy, target the pirate flagship." 1 round center mass, targeting, sir." Kinetic cannon loaded and ready. The pirate fleet had arranged itself in a classic formation designed to maximize energy weapon coverage while maintaining overlapping shield protection. It was a textbook formation that had been used successfully for thousands of years. "Against energy weapons, fire," Jake ordered. The Vengeance's main cannon launched a projectile at 15% of light speed. The 10-ton round crossed the space between the fleets in seconds, passed through the pirate flagship's shields without slowing down, and punched completely through the ship. The flagship broke apart and exploded. The remaining 29 pirate ships immediately powered down their weapons and requested permission to surrender. "Sir," Kevin reported, "I'm getting surrender requests from the entire pirate fleet." They're offering to become human auxiliary forces. What? Jake asked. They want to work for us, sir. Apparently, they think joining the winning side is better than fighting it. This was happening all across the galaxy. Criminal organizations, rogue military units, and independent raiders were either fleeing to the galactic rim or asking to join human forces. The mere presence of human ships was reshaping the balance of power everywhere they went. Dr. Sarah Mitchell was documenting these changes from her office on Earth. As humanity's chief xenological advisor, she was trying to understand the psychological impact of human military superiority on galactic civilization. It's unprecedented, she explained to President Emma Collins during their weekly briefing. In galactic history, military advantages were usually temporary. New weapons led to new defenses, which led to newer weapons. It was an endless cycle. But not this time? The president asked. No, ma'am. Our kinetic weapons represent a fundamental shift in warfare technology. The aliens can't adapt their existing systems to counter us, and they can't develop new systems fast enough to matter. So our advantage is permanent? As near as makes no difference, yes. By the time they develop effective kinetic weapons, we'll have thousands of ships and decades more experience using them. The president nodded. And how are they handling this psychologically? Not well, ma'am. We're seeing the emergence of what Dr. Brooks calls technological despair. Entire species are giving up on military research because they believe it's pointless. This despair was visible throughout the galaxy. On the Zephyrian homeworld, Emperor Zaxthor was dealing with a crisis of confidence among his military leaders. Emperor, said Admiral Kexvar, our shipyards are requesting permission to stop building warships. What? Why? They say there's no point, sir. Human weapons can destroy any ship we build, and human armor can stop any weapon we have. So what do they want to build instead? Cargo ships, sir. Colony vessels. Science ships. They want to focus on peaceful activities. The Emperor was quiet for a long moment. His empire had been built on military conquest, but now his own military was giving up on war. What about our enemies? Are they still building warships? No, sir. The Void Collective has converted half their military shipyards to civilian use. The Crystal Confederacy is doing the same. Everyone is. Similar conversations were happening in government centers across the galaxy. Military leaders who had spent their careers preparing for war were suddenly finding themselves obsolete. Defense budgets were being redirected to civilian projects. Armies were being retrained for peacekeeping duties. General Ryan Murphy was watching these developments from Earth Defense Headquarters. It's remarkable, he told Admiral Carter during their daily briefing. We've accidentally created galactic peace. Accidentally. We just wanted to defend Earth, ma'am. We never intended to end all galactic warfare. But that's what we've done. It looks that way. When one species has an insurmountable military advantage, there's no point in anyone else fighting. The best strategy is to stay on our good side and hope we protect you. This protection was becoming humanity's primary role in galactic affairs. Captain Lisa Hayes of the cruiser EDS Liberty was currently escorting a trade convoy through what used to be pirate-infested space. Captain, her communications officer reported, the convoy leader is asking if we're sure 3 human ships are enough protection. How many ships are in the convoy? Lisa asked. 67 cargo vessels and 23 escort ships, ma'am. And they're worried about 3 human ships being enough? Yes, ma'am. They seem to think we need more ships, Lisa smiled. Tell them that 3 human ships could probably protect the entire sector. It wasn't bragging. In the past 6 months, human task forces had broken up pirate fleets, stopped 3 wars, and established peace in regions that had been violent for centuries. They had done this not through overwhelming numbers, but through overwhelming technological superiority. The aliens were learning that human ships didn't just win battles. They ended them before they started. Dr. Nathan Brooks was studying this phenomenon from his laboratory on the Vengeance. Captain, he told Jake Morrison, I've been analyzing combat reports from across the galaxy. In every engagement involving human ships, the enemy surrenders or flees before taking significant casualties. That's good, isn't it? Jake asked. It's unprecedented, sir. Historically, military technology led to more destructive wars. But our technology is so superior that it's actually reducing violence. How? Because there's no point in fighting us. Everyone knows they'll lose, so they don't try. This was humanity's strangest victory. They had set out to defend their homeworld and had accidentally become the galaxy's peacekeepers. Their weapons were so fearsome that nobody wanted to test them. Their ships were so powerful that their mere presence ended conflicts. From his office on Luna, Admiral Tony Parker was coordinating human peacekeeping operations across 50 star systems. Every day brought new requests for human intervention, human protection, or human mediation. "Admiral Carter," he reported, "we have 17 new requests for assistance this week." "What kind of assistance?" she asked. "Everything, ma'am. Border disputes, trade negotiations, pirate problems, territorial conflicts. They all want humans to solve their problems." "And our response? We're saying yes to the easy ones and no to anything that might drag us into a long-term commitment." But even as humanity tried to limit its involvement, the galaxy was pushing them toward a larger role. Species that had governed themselves for millions of years were asking humans to make decisions for them. Civilizations that had fought their own wars for millennia were asking humans to fight for them. The galaxy was changing, and humanity was at the center of that change, whether they wanted to be or not. 1 year after first contact, President Emma Collins stood before the United Earth Assembly to address the most important question in human history. What kind of galactic citizens did humanity want to become? The assembly hall was packed with representatives from every nation on Earth. But for the first time in human history, there were also alien observers present. Delegates from 30 different species sat in a special section, watching humanity decide their future. "Fellow humans," President Collins began, "1 year ago we were alone in the universe. Today, we are the dominant military power in a galaxy of countless civilizations. The question before us is simple. What do we do with this power?" The question was more complex than it seemed. Humanity's military superiority had created unexpected responsibilities. Across the galaxy, species were abandoning their own military forces and relying on human protection. Trade routes that had been dangerous for centuries were now safe because human ships patrolled them. Wars that had raged for millennia had ended because both sides feared human intervention. Admiral Lisa Carter was experiencing this firsthand as she reviewed reports from across known space. In her office overlooking Earth's capital, she studied the latest intelligence from human peacekeeping forces. "Colonel Parker," she said to her aide, "give me the summary." "Galactic military spending is down 60% from last year, ma'am. 17 species have formally disbanded their military forces. 43 others have converted their warships to civilian use." "And piracy?" "Down 92%. Most pirate organizations have either joined our auxiliary forces or fled to unexplored regions." "Wars?" "0 active conflicts between recognized governments. 3 minor border disputes, all requesting human mediation." Carter nodded. "So we've accidentally created galactic peace." "It looks that way, ma'am. But peace came with a price. Humanity was discovering that being the galaxy's protector was a full-time job. Captain Jake Morrison was learning this as he commanded the EDS Vengeance on patrol in the Outer Rim territories. "Captain," Lieutenant Amy Peterson reported, "we're receiving a distress call from the Andarian colony ship New Hope." "What's the situation?" Jake asked. "They're under attack by unknown raiders. The local defense force is requesting immediate human assistance." "How many raiders?" 8 ships, sir. The local defense force has 23 ships but won't engage without human support." Jake sighed. This was becoming a common pattern. Alien military forces that could easily handle small threats were refusing to fight without human backup. They had become psychologically dependent on human protection. "Amy, set course for the Andarian colony. Signal the lightning and thunder to follow us." "Sir," Lieutenant Kevin Davis called from communications, "the Andarian commander is asking how many human ships we're sending." "Tell him 3. "He says 3 isn't enough, sir. He wants at least 10. 3 human ships could conquer his entire star system. Tell him 3 is plenty." This was the reality of humanity's new role. Their technological superiority was so overwhelming that alien military forces had lost confidence in their own abilities. Species that had defended themselves for millions of years now believed they were helpless without human protection. Dr. Sarah Mitchell was studying this phenomenon from her research center on Luna. It's a form of learned helplessness, she explained to Dr. Nathan Brooks during one of their regular consultations. The aliens have become so convinced of human military superiority that they've stopped trying to defend themselves. Is that necessarily bad? Nathan asked. In the short term, no. It's created unprecedented peace and stability. But in the long term, it could be dangerous for everyone. How so? Because it makes the entire galaxy dependent on humanity. If something ever happened to us, galactic civilization could collapse. Nathan nodded. And it puts enormous pressure on us to be everywhere at once. This pressure was becoming apparent to human military leaders. General Ryan Murphy was coordinating operations across more than 100 star systems with fewer than 300 ships. It was an impossible task that somehow seemed to be working. The key, he explained to a gathering of human fleet commanders, is that we don't actually have to win battles. We just have to show up. Our reputation does most of the work for us. Captain Lisa Hayes of the EDS Liberty had seen this firsthand. Last week we ended a border dispute just by entering the system. Both sides immediately requested our mediation rather than risk fighting near a human ship. And the week before that? Asked Captain Morrison via video link. A pirate fleet of 15 ships surrendered to my single cruiser without firing a shot. They said they didn't want to be the first pirates to die fighting humans. This was humanity's strangest weapon, their reputation. Stories of human military power had grown in the telling until they had become legends. Some aliens believed human ships could destroy planets. Others thought human soldiers were invincible. A few species had started worshipping humans as war gods. President Collins was dealing with the political implications of this reputation. In her private office, she met with her top advisors to discuss humanity's long-term strategy. The aliens want us to establish a formal galactic government with humans in charge, reported Secretary of State Bill Adams. All of them? The president asked. 73 species have formally requested human oversight of their governments. 42 others want to join a human-led federation. Only 12 species want to remain completely independent. And what do our people think? General Murphy answered. Public opinion polls show 68% support for increased galactic involvement. Americans are proud that we've become the galaxy's peacekeepers. And the other 32%? They're worried about overextension. They think we're taking on too much responsibility too fast. The president nodded. What do you think, General? I think we don't have much choice, ma'am. The galaxy is changing whether we want it to or not. We can either guide that change or watch it happen without us. Far from Earth, Captain Morrison was seeing the galaxy change in real time. The Vengeance was currently stationed near the former border between the Zephyrian Empire and the Void Collective, two civilizations that had been at war for 3,000 years. Sir, Amy reported, we're receiving a joint communication from both empires. Joint communication? They're talking to each other? Yes, sir. Emperor Zaxthor and Collective Leader Mordak want to hold peace negotiations. They're asking us to host the talks. Here? On our ship? Yes, sir. They say neutral ground isn't neutral enough. They want human ground. Jake looked out at the stars where ships from both empires waited peacefully in the same space for the first time in millennia. Kevin, send our response. We'll host their talks, but they follow our rules. What rules, sir? No weapons, no guards, no recording devices. Just two leaders and their translators. And if they disagree? Then they can keep fighting without us. But they wouldn't disagree. Nobody disagreed with humans anymore. The peace talks were held in the Vengeance's main conference room. Jake Morrison watched as the leaders of two ancient enemy civilizations shook hands for the first time in recorded history. This is unprecedented, Emperor Zaxthor said through his translator. Our species have been enemies since before humans developed spaceflight. But that was before humans developed space weapons, replied Collective Leader Mordak. Now we have more important things to worry about than old grievances. Such as? Jake asked. Staying on your good side, both leaders said simultaneously. That evening, as the alien leaders signed a permanent peace treaty, Jake stood on the bridge of the Vengeance and contemplated humanity's future. Through the windows, he could see Ships from dozens of different species all flying in formation with human vessels. "Sir," Amy said quietly, "do you think we're doing the right thing?" "I don't know," Jake replied honestly, "but I think we're doing the necessary thing." "What's the difference?" "The right thing would be for every species to defend itself and solve its own problems. The necessary thing is for us to do it for them because the alternative is chaos. And which one will we choose?" Jake looked out at the alien ships following his lead through the darkness between stars. "I think the galaxy has already chosen for us." Far away on Earth, President Collins was reaching the same conclusion. In her address to the United Earth Assembly, she spoke the words that would define humanity's future. "We did not seek galactic leadership, but it has been thrust upon us. We did not want to become the galaxy's protectors, but that is what we have become. And we did not plan to reshape galactic civilization, but that is what we have done." She paused, looking out at the assembly of humans and aliens alike. "So we will embrace our role. We will be the guardians of peace, the protectors of the weak, and the arbiters of justice. Not because we want to, but because the galaxy needs us to." The assembly erupted in applause from both human and alien delegates. Outside, human ships, prepared for their next mission, carrying the hopes and fears of a galaxy that had learned to tremble at their approach. Earth's children were spreading to the stars, and they were bringing peace with them, whether the galaxy wanted it or not.